last week we sat down with a podcast called History Goes Bump to be on their show and talk about our paranormal experiences. The hosts are Diane and Kelly, and they're fantastic, and they were lovely.
Oh my God, I loved them. I loved them. They were so
They
sweet.
were so much fun.
I'm very sad they don't live closer to us
Yeah.
because I feel like we would have a lot, like we would go out to like the Bird and shoot the shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they were really cool. And yeah, they're in Florida, so I don't plan on going down to Florida anytime real soon, but who knows?
Yeah, I loved just getting to sit and chat and some of the questions like what is a ghost to you? Oh man,
I was not prepared. I
wasn't prepared for that one.
I should have gone after Amy because she had the best response. And I was like, I don't know other things. I
think that's the reason why you ask it when people aren't expecting it, so that you get an off-the-cuff answer.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I think you'll all have to listen to that episode to find out what we said.
You will.
We're not going to spell anything.
And listen to their show too, because as you know, I'm a fraidy cat. And their show is so good because they touch upon the paranormal aspects of different locations without scaring me, which is hard to do.
And you know that I love the logic, and they go through a lot of the logical side of things as well.
Yeah. Yep. They do some investigations on their own and they like to debunk stuff. That's where they go in first, is debunking. So they're not like, who just yells, talk to me, do something to me.
No, I've listened to several of their episodes and they're just honestly fantastic. So
they are. And they're family friendly. They don't swear.
Yep.
They're not super scary. So kids can listen. You can listen to it with your kids, not like our show.
And it's so educational too, not just the what you get in school, but the whole history of different areas in a bite-sized piece. And that I think is really awesome. And I know Diane was saying that they have some listeners who are very young and can't be in the Facebook group because they're too young yet, but get to, engage and do other things. And that's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. They have a really nice community built. And I'm a little jealous, to be honest.
Fine.
Although we have great patrons.
We do.
Patrons. But
highly recommend their show. Go check them out and for sure listen to our episode. Amy will put it in the show notes when it airs. I think she said it airs like March
12th.
12th? I think she said 12th. So yeah, I'll be sure to put it on all our socials and I'll, promo the crap out of it. And so y'all can listen. It's going to be really fun.
It was a really fun experience. They were delightful. I hope everybody feels the way we felt after leaving their show when they leave our show.
Yeah, you said you were on like a high all night.
I was it made my night. And I texted the gals and I'm like, I really hope that people feel this way after leaving our show because they were just delightful.
Yeah, they were.
So
super fun. Okay.
Hi, this is Diane.
And this is Kelly of the History Goes Bump podcast.
We are in our 10th year of production for the podcast.
And we can say without reservation that no other podcast has covered as many haunted locations as we have.
We prove that history isn't boring.
It's terrifying.
Find History Goes Bump wherever you get your podcasts.
Keep it spooky.
Ghosty fam, Amy here. Welcome to The Activity Continues, a podcast where three soul friends talk about all things paranormal. Ghosts, hauntings, psychics, movies and TV shows, especially The Dead Files, and other spooky and spooky adjacent things as well. We also like to interview people in the paranormal community, as well as past Dead Files clients and other interesting people. Sometimes we even tell your stories. We hope you enjoy the show. All right, Megan, take it away when you're ready.
This week, we are launching our spring break series. this was AP's idea, so she is going to tell you what is going on with this.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. It's AP here. I was just thinking about that we're in Minnesota. It's usually cold and dreary. At least we've had the dreary of January all winter long so far. It seems like we're on the 759th day of January.
No kidding.
And it's always, we're just always cold. So I thought, well, what if we created a little bit of a theme to help us like get excited about the spring that's coming? We know that's all coming about. And so, boom, spring break series comes to life. You're not going to find any Girls Gone Wild here, but you're going to find girls off the rails completely most of the time. And so if anybody wants to come and join us on our adventures as we travel through some spring break locales, grab yourself a tropical beverage, NA or full throttle, and join us for the fun in the sun as we pretend to be warm at one of these sunny destinations. So we each got to pick 2 different destinations that are in somewhere that might be a spring break destination, like California or Hawaii. I'm sorry, Alaska, this isn't your trip.
Not this time.
No.
So
as you say this, I literally have my heater on my feet right now.
It was warm today.
It was
50.
Beautiful.
I went out with a light jacket. Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't even wear a jacket today.
That's how you know you're from the Midwest, is that it's 50 degrees and you're like, this is a heat wave.
My sweater's great today.
It was high 30s on Saturday, and I was outside in a long sleeve, one of my what I call Scotland sweaters, because I bought 2 heavy sweaters when I went to Scotland, and a vest for hours. That's all I
bet you got hot too.
Yeah, it got warm.
Yeah.
Got
Those Scotland sweaters are no joke. They are so warm.
Oh,
I've worn mine once in the last year because it's never cold enough to wear them.
The only thing I have from Scotland's my necklace that Amy gave me. I don't have a sweater.
Well, my sweaters are not actually, these ones are not from Scotland, but they are ones that I bought to go to Scotland because we were going to be hiking and everything. And yeah. So today we are going to be talking about
that.
I know. After all that, I'm just going to slide right up
just
through.
Dive right in.
Yeah. We are going to talk about the Deadly Picture Show, which is season 13. And depending on which vessel you watch on, it's either episode 11, which was on demand, or episode 12 on Max. And then if you start searching it online, Travel Channel website has it as episode 12. IMDb has it season 14, episode 11. Nonetheless, it is a Deadly Picture Show that aired on October 2nd, 2021 in Los Angeles, California. Amy, why don't you take it away for the content warning we might have?
Content warning. Okay. You two can pipe up if I missed anything, but what I was thinking about is there was an airplane crash death, which was during a filming of a film.
That was so sad.
And it was kept in.
And they kept it in.
I know. When they said that, I was like, are you kidding me?
But
we'll
now
get into it.
Film has been lost.
Good.
Yeah.
And I said, as soon as he said that, I said, as it should be.
As it should
there should not be any footage of somebody's death.
No, that's hideous. That's hideous. Also, a murder by shooting. And that's all I could think of, or all I could remember.
Yeah, this one was pretty tame.
It was pretty light in comparison to some of the things we've seen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I guess that's it. Oh, AP is going to read the overview that she wrote. That's going to give us a little quick update and like a shortened version of the whole synopsis. And then we will dig deep into that after that.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Amy. So yes, like I said earlier, it is season 13, episode 11 or 12. And it is the Silent Movie Theater in Los Angeles, California. Daniel is the manager or has been running it for the last 2 years. He is from Australia. His girlfriend is Claire. There's an employee it sounded like she was only there for a month when this was shot, Drew. Yeah. And she's also at the reveal, which I thought was really interesting. And the projectionist, Daryl. So these are the 4 people we hear from during the episode. They have feelings of being watched, anxious or nauseous, physically touched, and they're hearing things, lots of different things all over the place. They have had a paranormal group, at least one, more than one is what we have found out,
Mm-hmm.
in with a spirit box, and that was catching things because Drew talks about a paranormal group prior to this.
Mm-hmm.
Amy connects to a few different people, some being trapped in a glass box by another spirit, a woman who may or may not be fully explained in the reveal at some point, a man who has a dark side that he hid in life,
Mm-hmm.
and a murder or two with a lot of residual energy. Steve connects with a host fan favorite, Cheryl Dorsey. Please come talk to us, Cheryl.
We love you.
And they talk about a murder for hire and a few others, more history of the area, and a web of connectivity of the area. We learn about filmed deaths that make it into a movie. And in the reveal is Daniel, and Amy appears skeptical of him. And there's a few different times. And again, we've seen sometimes the editing is an interesting way, and it could be a way that is not as portrayed, but we're seeing that she is a little skeptical of him. And Drew, which I thought was an odd choice. There's no pretty bow to wrap this all up together, though. There's a lot of connections, but they're not like, oh yeah, that was definitely this person or it's definitely this person. Not much has to be done to make it safe, and they're working towards it, and the activity continues.
Mm-hmm.
This episode for me was kind of lackluster. I feel like there wasn't really a lot going on. And when Drew started talking about the spirit box, I kind of rolled my eyes at that because
I did too.
you
And then I
don't
immediately
have-
went, I wonder who that is. And I
Yeah.
Googled it and found out that sure shit, it was on,
Bagel Bites.
that one.
Bilbo Zagans.
Yep.
I just thought that like being anxious at work,
Mm-hmm. Well,
who hasn't been anxious at work
thought-
at one point or the other?
Yeah.
The evidence that they have, and I'm not discrediting what's going on
mm-hmm.
per se, but I'm just saying that for the Dead Files to go and do an investigation, I thought what they had was very weak.
It was very minimal, but I feel like afterwards we started, like, Amy sent us an article, and then as we started to dig into that a little bit, so there was an article about the company that recently owned this theater from 2007 to 2017, when a bunch of shit came out that was right in time with the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
That really sparked a lot of different things happening. So this theater basically shut down for a couple of years and then was reopened in 2019 or 2020 on Christmas Day. It was open 2 years prior. So basically, whenever Daniel came in, and what was confusing is when we were researching and looking at these articles, is one of the previous people, his name was also Dan or Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say his last name because...
And that's when I was like, I really hope it wasn't this Daniel.
Yep.
And I thought it was, but AP set me straight.
Digging through, I was digging through the archives, guys.
Digging through the archives.
Dig into the archives.
Digging through the archives.
Just noticed that the date of that article was 2017, and then he had said he'd only been there for 2 years, and this was released in 2021. It just, like, things weren't quite adding up. So I'm curious if potentially a little bit of the history of the area was a draw for the Dead Files to come in.
Because
the new group's studio is called Brain Dead Studios, who is running this, and from what I see, it's doing well. They're showing silent movies to modern movies and lots of really interesting and cool things. But the previous history was a little bit more juicy than what we got in this episode.
Yes, there was some
the history
salacious
was
stuff
juicy, but like, even when the guy Daryl was talking about the projectors, and he's like, they both quit at the same time.
Right.
It has to be paranormal. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Yep.
No, it doesn't.
Technology-
You're using really old
Yes.
equipment.
Yep.
And you know what? He didn't say like they broke. He said the
The
film
real
started spinning off.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
all that means is
Haven't
he
we all
didn't
seen
put
that
it-
in a movie?
Yeah, and that could easily have been that he didn't connect it to the
Yeah.
other reel
Yep.
correctly.
Yeah.
Because it comes off one and goes on to
So
the other.
I just feel like of all
Yeah.
the episodes we've seen, this was to me the weakest.
Maybe we
and-
needed a little bit of a break from some of the heavy ones
yes,
we have covered
We have done
lately.
a lot of rough ones. So it was still a good episode.
it was a good
it was
episode because the
interesting,
history
but
was fun.
the history was really what kept this episode going.
I thought it was really interesting, though, like, speaking of the history, and I mentioned it in the overview, but there was the female spirit of somebody who was supposedly murdered, and they were they kept connecting it back to in 1997. It was one of the former owners. So we have quick history of it is John Hampton started this with his wife Dorothy in 1942 timeframe, and they were showing pre-1927 films. They had Mae West and Charlie Chaplin came through. He died in 1990. She went on through in 1991 and continued to open it with her partner Lawrence Austin, who is a friend of theirs. Then Lawrence was having a torrid affair with a man, Van Sickle, 29 when they started. 28 when they started. It was a 41-year age difference. Yep.
Okay.
And I thought
he was
James
34
Van
at
Sickle
one point.
in 1997. So later on.
Okay.
So they had an affair for 6 years or whatever. So we have James Van Sickle is the younger gentleman with Lawrence Austin. James Van Sickle sets up a murder for hire
because Lawrence had put James as the sole beneficiary.
Yep, sole beneficiary. So Austin
don't do that.
Yeah, Austin is shot in the face and the chest, but
once in the face and then twice in the chest.
Yep, and what makes it even worse?
Would have done it, you guys. You shoot someone in the face. Odds are
not every time.
Not every time, but most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to get your money, you got to make sure it's done.
When we get to it, we find out that he wanted to make this look like a robbery. So he had the person who is a young man named, a 19-year-old named with the last name Rodriguez.
Yeah, Christian Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was not great at catching first names in this one. But James paid him to murder Lawrence Austin, and then to make it look like it was a robbery and not a hit, had him also take out 19-year-old Mary Giles,
who was, I think, working concessions.
She was working the concessions.
Yep.
She survived. But we get that they were trying to connect the female ghost that Amy was communicating with as to Mary. But then we never talk about that in the reveal. We don't really talk about that Mary survived and that things moved on.
Well,
and
Steve tells Amy that, well, it sounds like you might be talking about Mary Giles, but she survived this. And he tells the whole story, but then he says, but she survived. And Amy just goes, and then they move right along.
Yeah. So to me, I put question marks did part of her soul die?
That's what I was thinking.
Was that a little bit of soul splitting? That some of that
or residual? Well, no, not residual.
It wasn't residual because she interacted, but there was a lot of residual out there.
Yeah,
and that was what was causing a lot of the uneasiness in the area. Also,
I mean, when I had my haunting and I had the Dakota County Paranormal Society come out, they told me that electronics, if you're sitting near electronics, that can give you feelings of being watched. So if you're around a breaker, what are they called? A breaker box? A breaker?
Circuit box.
Circuit breaker. That if you're sitting near that, then that for a certain period of time, fish tanks can do that.
Yep.
They're I mean, come on.
When we talked with Dawn, she talked about when they go into for investigations and they look around for people who are having some, concerns, they take in a meter to check and see what is the electronic frequency that's happening.
And I don't know, maybe a movie theater has quite a lot of electronic frequency. Also, I did look, so he paid him $25,000, which adjusted for inflation, I believe was about $48,000.
Wow.
So somebody's life was worth $48,000. Which, looking or watching Homicide Hunter, people have killed for less than that.
Yep.
But still, not $25,000. I mean, $48,000.
Yeah.
And then he did throw in the extra $5,000 for Mary. So
yes, right.
He probably didn't get paid for that though.
No, because
he didn't finish the job.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, come on. But I thought that was
well, he was out of bullets. He wasted 3 on the dude.
Okay, but even if it's a revolver, you have 6.
You weren't supposed to. You were just supposed to roll with that. It was. It was a hyperbole.
Do you want to do
hyperbole?
Do over?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go again.
That was backing up. Even if he wanted to finish off Mary, he wasted all of his bullets on the other guy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is that so much to ask? Just a little blind following here?
You know, I'm
Is that too
incapable of
much?
that.
Wow.
Wow.
Just follow me as if I was a cult leader.
You know
Believe-
that I would be the cult leader.
But you would. And I would 100% be in a cult. It's amazing I haven't been in one up to now. Amazing.
Kind of.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Just
I
checking.
don't think I've been in a cult. Amy would have told me if I was in a cult.
Maybe you're in Amy's cult.
If I'd known you. Yeah. This is a cult right here.
Okay. Well, now I don't know what to trust. This night has taken a turn.
Well,
and it's
you
only
know,
Monday.
I was sort of in a cult, but
Today was the Mondays
What?
of all Mondays. What?
you know, the teens, Christian teen cult that my parents put me in high school. I told you about that.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me about that. Yeah.
There was an adult version for parents, and then my parents were in there. And I did the kid one for a while.
How old were you when your parents got
That's right.
divorced?
I was in 4th grade, so it's
Oh,
No.
okay.
Nine.
Not super old. 10?
No.
Okay. Anyways, that totally sidetracked. I don't know how. Oh, cults. Yeah, I don't know. This one was the only thing for me, like I said, that kept it going was the history, like the plane crash.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. That
I
I
was
want
trying
to
to-
talk about that plane crash for a sec, just because Steve's response to that when he's looking at it, and the guy says he's looking at the obituary, or not the
Mhm.
obituary, the
Death certificate.
which says
Yes.
crushed and mangled and burned in an
I know.
airplane accident. And he goes, I've never heard anything like that before. And the guy goes, oh, they probably wouldn't word it that way today.
No, they wouldn't.
And this was in 1920?
Mm-hmm.
And then Steve is just like, when the guy tells him that it made it into the final cut of the film and was shown in theaters, he was aghast.
And he was
And he
like, can
says-
I find it?
This is hurtful. And then he goes, is there any way I can look this movie up to watch it? I'm like, dude, you just fucking said
Mm-hmm.
how hurtful it is. I know you want to watch it.
I'm glad that no copies were around. It needs to be lost.
To be on the fair side of Steve, all of our curiosities, we all have morbid curiosities, whether it would be this or something else
sure.
where you're just like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
But yes, we're not going to go and search for it, but that is obviously the part of the reason why they had him ask that question.
Yeah.
And probably to make sure that maybe it was let's make sure people don't go and look for this. We're not going to say the
Mhm.
name of the movie, and we're going to make sure everybody
But
knows that it was lost.
It would be no, they did say the name.
They
of
did
it.
say
They
the
did
name of the movie.
eventually, yes.
Yeah.
The Skyway Men.
Which play off the Highwaymen?
Probably.
I don't know which one was. I mean, the Skyway Men might have been earlier.
The Highwayman is a poem.
But the Highwaymen were
Oh.
also men that were along the roadways in medieval times and would rob everybody that came by. Not
Okay.
Chris Christopherson and Johnny Cash and I can't remember the other two. Merle
I don't know
Haggard.
what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Amy, do you know what I'm talking about?
Well,
The song,
I mean,
The
they're all
Highwaymen?
musicians, but was it like a super group, or are you talking about a movie?
Were they like a
No,
boy
they-
band?
No, they were just all artists that came together, and they have a song called The Highwaymen.
Oh, their song. Okay, yeah, no,
They were called The Highwaymen too for a little while, but
okay.
they
Oh.
That's
were
what I meant
all
by a super group.
only when they were doing
Boy
like
band.
they're coming together. No, they all had their individual careers, came together for a little bit of time, and then separated. So it's Christopherson,
not a boy band.
Cash, Merle Haggard, and Waylon Jennings. It was Waylon.
Yeah,
Isn't Chris Christopherson an actor?
yeah,
Wasn't he
he's
in
also a
Blade?
singer.
he's
What?
both. Yeah,
Yeah.
Get out of town and take a bus.
he was a singer first.
Yeah.
And then
Really?
he was in Star is Born.
And Blade, which I bought when I was like 13, and my mom got so mad at me because she specifically told me, Megan, don't buy this movie. And I went out with my friend Megan P, and I bought it at ShopGo, and my mom was furious at me because it was rated R, and I was not of the age to be watching rated R movies.
Such a rebel.
I know,
What were you thinking?
My goodness.
I know. This can't tame me.
Nope.
I'm a wild horse.
I also want to mention that when Amy sees that guy with the really
The
red vibe,
Yeah.
and she says that he says, "Oh, you don't need to be here because I've got it all under control."
Mhm,
Mm-hmm.
And she describes him as red skin,
mhm.
And snake eyes.
eyes. And then she heard fuck off.
Fuck off.
Yep.
He turned around, walked away from her, turned back around, winked,
And winked.
and his eyes were black.
But
I
then
could
when
just
she
picture
drew
that whole
it,
thing as she was saying that.
but then when she had it sketched, it wasn't that. It was this creepy looking like 1920s like circus guy with the
hat. Yeah, and the
I just
and
picture
the
him with the
cigarette.
hat.
Did he
Yeah,
have a
and
cigarette?
Milton Locklear, who
those
might have
arm-
been, but
What are those arm things that they
Well,
would
I think
put
that
on?
was supposed to be the original owner, Hampton.
That's what I got, was that
Yes.
John Hampton was the guy who had a dark side in life.
Yes,
And that he hid.
Mhm.
And I'm curious, I think that all of that was connected. The picture is what he's showing himself, but what he really is that
Is the
monstrous
snake
creature
yeah.
And when
that is keeping them. And he's because he was an entertainer, or he
Right.
wanted to entertain people. So of course you're
Mhm.
going to keep souls in a box.
Mhm.
Right. Well, and
Have
when
them
she
watch
called
the
him
show.
a collector,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
that's when Drew said she got chills.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, he collected old movies.
Yeah. It made me, when she said that he had a darker side in life, my immediate thought was like, I wonder if he was a serial killer that was just never caught,
Ooh,
because
yeah.
it was in the 40s, whatever time, 20s. Like,
Well, he
they
was
weren't exactly great at
1940s to 1990.
okay, so they weren't exactly
mean,
great at solving crime, and it's nothing
He was in
against them, but
California in the 1970s, which is like high time
prime
for
serial killer.
Oh my
time.
God, there was so much
Zodiac?
going
Golden
on.
State Killer, Zodiac Killer, Green
Maybe it
River
was a Zodiac.
Killer, the night. Oh my God, Richard Ramirez. How many others?
There was a lot.
Yeah.
There's too
Manson's-
many.
The Manson.
The
family.
Manson, yeah.
Mhm.
Right, but so that was my first thought when she said that. I was like, because it was so easy to kill people then. How do you get the only way to really get caught, honestly, is if they like saw you commit the crime.
Yeah.
They didn't have DNA. They didn't have the forensic that we have now
Mhm.
Yeah, they
It
had
was so
fingerprints and that's
easy.
about
to get away with murder.
it. Mm-hmm.
And it's like nothing against, law enforcement. They just didn't have the tools that they have now. It was
Yeah.
60 years ago.
Mhm.
So I'm done with that tangent. But that was my first thought when she said that. I was like, I bet he was a serial killer in real life.
Yeah. Well,
And we're
or
just never caught.
Some kind of.
Yeah. He was something. We don't get a lot of history about him. We just know about him. He and Dorothy came to,
Mhm.
California to open this. I was actually just reading through my notes. Amy kept getting Jim or John. So then when Steve said John Hampton, she was like, shut up. Like, really?
Mhm.
She was like, I don't think she actually said
Which-
shut up, but she was like,
I love
Yeah.
what?
when she does that and she's like, oh my God, I surprised myself. Like,
She's like, oh my God, I got that right.
it makes me, it really, in my opinion, like makes her real because
Yeah.
she's not cocky. I knew
Mhm.
that. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh my God, seriously? I got it right.
Yeah.
So I just think it's so endearing, because even after all this time, she's like, oh my God, I got it,
Yep.
Mhm.
And then what I have
God,
underneath
I
that
love you,
is when
Amy
she
Ellen.
started
Please come on our show. Please, 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 please.
Please, please, please.
when she started talking about, she said there's a woman who touches them in the legs, usually
Mhm.
17 to 22, young, brutal murder, assaulted, very recent, like she was a sacrifice. That's why it was like, that had to have been,
It really sounded like Mary.
Yeah,
it had to have been Mary. But now also knowing some of the assaults that allegedly took place with the previous group that owned this.
Right.
Is there some of that that's tying in? If there's a lot of residual, and is it hyped up because of
Yeah.
half of Mary's spirit or whatever might
Mhm.
be there? I don't know. Like, she's, as for all we know, she's still alive at this point, but we
Mhm.
obviously there was some form of connection that was going back to her. But then, as we talked about, having some of that stuff come to light afterwards, is there something that has to do with it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I thought of when you guys were saying, how you found out all those
'Cause
allegations.
One
and
of the articles basically said, boys will be boys.
gross.
Oh, God. Hey, everyone. We want to welcome our new sponsor, Gobble. As you know, life can get pretty hectic. Between work, errands, and family time, who always has the energy to plan, shop for, and cook delicious meals every night? That's where Gobble comes in. It's a meal kit service that takes the stress and guesswork out of dinner.
I used to dread the what's for dinner question every night. Gobble has been a game changer. They deliver fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and easy to follow recipe cards right to your door.
Exactly. No more last minute grocery runs or scrambling for inspiration. Plus, the recipes are incredibly diverse. From healthy options to comfort food classics, there's something for everyone.
And let's not forget that cooking together can be a fun family activity. Gobble's recipes are simple enough to involve everyone in the kitchen, even the little ones.
So if you're looking for a way to make delicious, stress-free meals that the whole family will love, head over to the link in the show notes or on our website to get your first 6 meals for $36.
Gobble.
Make dinner amazing.
We want to give a shout out to our newest affiliate partner, Just Brands. This is the company that makes the CBD and THC gummies that I have been talking about. I have purchased both the Delta 8 and the Delta 10 versions, and they're really nice. They're actually really tasty too, but I wouldn't recommend just eating a ton of them at once. I did buy them to help me sleep, and well, let's just say that one night I took one, and when I went to bed, I felt myself melting into my bed. It was lovely. For a limited time, you can get 20% off these treats when you go to justcbdstore.com or just follow the link in the show notes and then use our promo code ACTIVITY24. This offer is good until March 27th, so get your gummies now.
But what I thought of is, how many times has Amy gone through and said the spirits here want to make people do things?
Mm-hmm.
And I, for one, am never one to give an excuse for a man. But could it be possible that maybe doing things that they did was because of that man? But I don't know how much time they spent there either. I mean, if they didn't spend time there, then no, they're just pervs.
Yeah. Well, and that was, we usually see that when it's somebody who's living in a house and not just like working, where they're there for. We see some of that, but we don't really. There was that woman. It's an interesting thought too.
Yeah. And again, I am not one to make excuses for any type of gross behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying in the past, Amy has said that there are spirits who will make people do things. But again, unless they spent a lot of time there, it probably wasn't a spirit, but it's just something to think about.
Yep. I was trying to think of anything else that Amy said. She talked a lot about that one guy who said living may hear him trying to fix shit and the dead he traps.
Mm-hmm. And that's when Drew and Daniel were both like, yeah, we do hear stuff. Like Drew to me just seemed like she wanted to be on TV.
It did seem odd for her to be.
Yes. Part of the reveal
when she was only there a month. So to me, I'm curious if she had been a part of it previously, and then when they reopened, she came back.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that was not something that was, brought up, but
or
just
aired.
A thought.
It
maybe
might have been brought up, but it wasn't aired. But yeah, I don't know. She just was very disingenuous. Like she had the weakest stuff of all of them. Like, well, I'm sorry, don't come at me with a spirit box.
And Amy, you looked up and you watched that episode of Zagans. Mm-hmm. And what year did that one come out?
2017. So that's why I had in my head that this one was 2017, and that's why I thought all those articles from the.
So that would have been filmed before the article, because the other one. Well, I was going before the article that Amy sent us came out, because that article came out in November of 17.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just not like this is a good one to watch if you just want a light episode because there's not really a ton that happens in here,
and nothing was really scary.
No.
But like I
could have watched this at night in the basement in the dark.
And you were fine.
But every once in a while you get some of those that it's not really, there's just a lot of stuff going on and people being like, why are they throwing dishes around? Oh, they just want you to set a place over here. Okay, well then we're good. Like they're just those are fine too.
Noticed.
Like they each have their own. Still, when I think about like some of the episodes we watched this year, I still would prefer, I think, this one over some of the episodes from this last season. But
this last season was heavy.
And
rough one.
And there were so many self-serving clients.
That's kind of what I mean on that too.
Well, and fine.
And it wouldn't surprise me
Brittany.
if these guys were too.
Oh, they are.
You know, since they
Both.
and these are not the same people that were on Ghost Adventures. This was a different group.
Yep.
But I mean, anytime it's an establishment as opposed to someone's home, I am dubious.
Question the motives.
But we had a few ones that were of houses or people in them that of this past year in the summer that
Brittany.
were like,
Absolutely.
and not just that one.
That just is the one that
You all
sticks
know
out.
which one we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. And yeah. But I think I just tend to be a little more like
Skeptical.
skeptical going in
Mhm.
when they own a B&B, Elvis, and your dandelion jar.
Dandelion.
Or, you know,
Or
the
you
Hotel
own a
Nowhere
bar.
guy.
And your marriage is falling apart and you got diabetes. And the only explanation is
Explanation is it's
paranormal.
paranormal.
Exactly.
Or
We
your
should-
father wrote
Amy
a
and I
book.
both drank when we said that only explanation is it's paranormal. We should do that all the time. Get your mug ready in case it comes out again, Megan.
And I don't have anything tonight.
Oh.
I'm
I
sorry.
was going to have an actual cocktail tonight, but I have to go in tomorrow morning and get my blood drawn to see if my cholesterol is okay. So,
Mm.
I really
Oh my
probably
God,
shouldn't
John
have drinks tonight.
drank on Saturday and he's still hungover today. And I'm like, you are so old.
We have a saying for that. It's called tough ski, shit ski.
Yeah.
That's what I told him. I'm
I
like,
love
well, it
it.
really sucks to be you, but you. And he even said, he's like, I fucking did this to myself.
Yeah.
Well, at
He's
least
like,
he
I have
recognizes
no one
it.
to blame but myself.
Well, at least
He's
he
like, I didn't
recognizes it.
eat before I went to bed. I'm like, Jonathan. I'm like, like, we've had this conversation
Oh, I could eat again
numerous
right
times.
now.
I know.
I know we're getting off topic here, but
What?
I know
Jinx.
it's so unlike us. But I made drunken
Girls
noodles
on it.
tonight.
Did you?
Nice.
While sober.
Yes, while sober. And there are things I would change. I followed
Yeah.
the recipe,
Weird.
which I don't normally do.
I don't
Yeah.
do that.
But
I
the
have
only
to.
thing I did different is I added more vegetables. And
And
I
then
used
even
turkey
when
instead of chicken.
When I do follow the recipe, I still add an extra cup of wine. So
Megan called me this weekend too and was like, I'm making that pasta again. I'm like, 1 cup of wine, right?
and I said no too, but I'm doubling it. But then I called for cheddar cheese. This show is so. I called Amy. I'm like, this does not sound right.
Didn't you? Wait, you already made it once?
I did
And now you're
make it
making it
once.
again? And now
Yes.
you're
I can't
double second guessing the cheese?
Yes, I can't remember if I put the cheese on the first time.
Okay. You need to be supervised while you're cooking.
I need to be supervised.
Megan,
period.
do you want to talk about what part of the rest of that conversation was about?
Yeah. Did you know that cheddar is not naturally yellow? Because I didn't. Because I told Amy, I'm like, it's got
Why
a
would
white wine in it. Like, I feel like white wine, a cheddar is not good with that. It's yellow. And Amy's like, but cheddar's normally white. And I said, no, it's not. She goes, no, it is. They put something in it to make it yellow. And I said, what? Mind blown. I did not know this.
A lot of it was to change so it wasn't just all white cheese in the deli sections too. But I love an extra sharp white cheddar.
Yeah. I like
an,
white cheddar.
An Irish cheddar, an English cheddar.
See, I
Vermont.
thought that white cheddar and yellow cheddar were like different cheeses.
I mean, technically they are, but they're still cheddars.
See, I didn't know that.
There's a lot of different kinds of cheddar.
And then I'm like arguing with Amy. I'm like, this is not right. This is wrong. And she's like, you're
No,
dumb.
you did just
She didn't
fine.
say that, but I know she thought it. I could pick up what she was thinking. She was like, you're 39. I can't believe I'm having this conversation with you.
I did not say that. I did not say that. No, I thought that when you put 2 cups of wine into a sauce.
First of all,
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I was like, no,
wait to hear this.
1 cup is for you. 1 cup is for the sauce.
even Amy's mom, she goes, my mom has never heard of that much wine in it.
No.
Yeah. That's like a soup.
It was. It took a long time to reduce.
Yep.
Had
Hey,
to add
we-
butter.
We got there. You got it done. It tasted good. And you made
It
it a
did.
second time.
And now I
So
learned.
therefore was a good recipe.
People listening, and I don't remember if I told you this before, if you're cooking and you add too much of an alcoholic beverage to your sauce, a way to cut that is to add butter or oil.
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Butter and oil.
I did not know
Butter
that
and oil.
before you had
I
this
know.
fiasco.
I didn't know it
so-
either. And then Amy helped me.
Mhm.
And
Amy
then
P, that is, not me.
Amy P. Yeah, AP helped me. No, Amy, she didn't do anything for me.
No, I told her how to.
It was totally useless.
Okay, but you were, to be fair, you were Snapchatting me
right.
pictures.
And then I
like,
called you
yeah,
because
you're
I
like,
can't
is this
call
what it's
Amy.
supposed to look like?
Every time I call Amy, I have to start every conversation with, I'm so sorry
I'm
I
so
called
sorry
you.
I'm calling. Well, you and I did talk about that dish for a bit. Well, and you called me from the liquor store
I did call you from the liquor store
to find out what kind of wine to get.
because
and if
I
it
was like,
okay
this
to get
is
kind-
a phone call because I need an
Yeah.
instant answer.
Yeah. It's okay.
You guys, I'm a grown up and I have no life skills.
No, Megan, you know what? I have known people through college who did not know how to boil water properly.
Well, if you
They-
want to save time, you
they-
boil it ahead of time and then you
they-
freeze it. And then when you want to cook with it, you just pull it out.
They would evaporate the water
What?
No.
because they would forget about the pan on the stove.
Were they
top.
drunk?
Oh, my mom's done that.
No.
Does not surprise me.
Oh, Barb.
My mom was not drunk, but yeah.
Barb.
Barb, barb.
We love ya.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We love
But-
ya.
So anybody who cooks and is trying, I applaud you for it.
Yes.
And same with you, Megan. Doesn't mean I'm not going to giggle a little bit later because I love you
for
dearly
sure.
and love your
you
stories.
Can giggle in the moment. I always recognize how stupid I am.
You're not stupid.
No. You're
In
just not
cooking.
used to doing it. You get
I
better
haven't-
as you go. None of us were perfect at the beginning.
I know. I have a lot of skills. Cooking is not one of
Have
them.
I told you about I made a lime meringue pie once. So instead of lemon,
Okay.
use lime.
Yeah.
But I
Sounds
used
good.
too much juice. So I
Ooh,
couldn't
she
get the
tart?
curd. I couldn't get the curd to set. So it was
Oh,
basically like drinking it with a straw.
Oh, nice.
It was real
Ooh.
good,
yeah.
but it never set.
That's when you just throw it in a blender and call it a shake.
I was very upset, but my dad's like, "This is really good." Just ate it.
Your dad. So
He-
sweet.
He actually made dinner tonight too.
Did he?
It was check my Snap and also check my Instagram on my
okay.
story. But it was like a chicken enchilada hot dish pasta soup type thing.
Oh, that
It
is
was really
so
good
Minnesotan.
Hot dish
hot
pasta
dish
soup?
What is that?
with
Wow.
not Minnesota spice.
Oh, so
like
no mayo or ranch?
jalapenos.
So actually spice, yeah.
Yeah,
actual flavor?
jalapenos
Yeah.
and hot chilies. Oh, it was so good.
I was at my father-in-law's yesterday and we were talking about Chipotle and how much we like it. And his cousin or John's cousin was there and he asked Jeff and Cheryl, my father-in-law and stepmother-in-law. And he goes, "Do you guys like Chipotle?" And immediately I went, "No, it's too spicy for them. It's too weight." And they were like, "Yeah, that is way too spicy."
It's too
are
spicy for my
they
mom.
Wonder Bread is too spicy?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're for sure like that.
Now I'll have to. My dad's been baking cookies too.
Mm.
He's
Retirement is good for him.
yes, it's been great.
Good.
It's been good for us too. But
It's good
he
for
has
everyone.
his mom's oatmeal raisin.
Oh,
recipe.
gross. I'm sorry.
Oh, they're so good.
I'm not a
Oatmeal
raisin
chocolate chip,
person.
yes. Oatmeal raisin.
Yes.
I'm not always an oatmeal. I'm usually not a raisin fan. I don't
I'm
like
never
raisins,
a raisin
but
fan.
but this is like my grandma's recipe. But it's kind of funny because on the recipe card, it lists out everything, but it doesn't list out the white sugar. It just lists out brown sugar, but then tells you to put the sugars in a bowl.
Oh,
But
no.
it doesn't tell you how much to use of the white sugar.
Right.
I mean,
if you're
usually
supposed to
white
use
and
white
brown
sugar.
are kind
So-
of similar amounts.
Right. Well, and another recipe that I use for chocolate chip, it's like 3/4 a cup, 3/4 a cup. Well, this one
Mhm.
was 1 cup of brown sugar. I was like, well, do a 1/2 cup of white sugar. And they
Mhm.
have come out almost caramelized.
Mhm.
Yum.
So even like as an oatmeal raisin, really good.
I
But
will
he
say
also makes chocolate chip toffee with a caramel syrup in it.
okay.
Oh my God.
Well,
Mhm.
we
sounds
need to
good.
be over. I need to taste test these except the raisins. I will say I do like raisins if they're the 1990s clay.
No,
Group.
California raisins?
The California raisins. Yep.
Nope. Creepy as hell.
Hater's gonna stop right there.
I'm going to agree with AP that any kind of thing that is like an inanimate object, but that has human
Except for Mr. Potato
mouth
Head.
mostly is what
No,
freaks
you
me out.
cannot pick and choose what vegetables
I
and fruits
don't
are
like raisins
humanized.
anyways, and I like potatoes. So therefore, Mr. Potato Head is fine. And he's not creepy in Toy Story.
Neither are the raisins. They are not creepy.
Purple turds.
Okay. Well, we'll just agree that I'm right and you're wrong, and
Well,
we'll move on.
I think I mean, I know that raisins are grapes, but aren't the raisins, I know they're called California raisins, but they're singing Heard It Through the Grapevine, right?
Yes.
So they're like showing you that they're grapes, but still, they're not as creepy to me as some other things that are like
Yes.
with the human features that
Oh
gross
my God.
me out.
What is it
Dolls.
called what is it called when they give human features to?
Anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphic.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So do you guys think we should get back to the episode?
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I don't
No.
even know.
It's okay. This has been fun, but there are some things that I want to hit on.
I'm sorry.
Not people.
Who do you want to hit on, Amy? Jeez. Between twiddling your
First,
knobs.
you're twiddling your knobs. Now you're hitting on people. Does Greg know this is going on?
Okay, the twiddling the knobs things, you guys, that was before you guys had joined. I got a brand new microphone and I was telling the ladies
She was
that
twiddling her
I
knobs.
was going to jump on early and twiddle my knobs and make sure everything was okay.
She
So-
And then
got it
AP
before.
goes, whatever you do in your free time.
I know, but she had already responded to herself like, oh my God.
I knew as I was typing twiddling that one of you was going to say something, so I just caught it. before
Lucky for
did.
you, we both did.
Yup.
Okay, so one of the things that we started to talk about, and then somehow we got off on,
That's so
cooking.
rare. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. It never happens. You guys, it
Mm-mm.
never happens here.
Never.
So when Amy was talking about the guy being the collector,
Oh,
And-
that's right.
and Daniel, he doesn't believe that part. I don't really buy that, he says.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And he
Amy's
goes,
like,
I've got a good feeling here now. And Amy went, she like did almost a cartoon.
Then why did you call them?
Face. Yeah. And then Steve's downright pissed. And he goes, oh, unless you drop dead, then you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to put you in a box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
normally cheer for Steve, but I cheered for Steve in that one.
Yeah,
that was such a great
Our-
impression, too.
it was.
Thanks.
I was like, Steve? Then I was like, no, it's
Steve,
Amy.
are you there?
It's just me. It's just
Is
me.
Steve in the room with us?
I'm just really, really good at impressions.
You're really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I don't know. I was not impressed with this episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it. But I
enjoyed it,
was
but-
really dubious of the clients because they were like, I feel like someone's watching. It's just ooky, it's
Yeah,
icky.
I feel like
they
someone's
had
watching me all the time, but it's four
They-
sets of dog eyes.
dog eyes, right? I felt like I was like, big whoop. Nothing that you're experiencing sounds that
Yeah.
creepy to me.
Mhm.
I
Have
don't
you
know why
been
you have to call a
scratched?
team
No.
in for this.
Like you haven't been scratched. Nothing's flying off the shelves.
Right,
Knives aren't flying across at you.
right.
You don't have a portal.
And it's not to say that there's nothing there. Obviously, there's stuff there.
No,
Amy
there's
found
stuff
it.
going
Mhm.
on.
But I don't think they're that sensitive. I
No.
don't think that
Yeah.
they were that upset by
No.
the things that were going on. I don't think they even saw half the things that were
I don't
going
think
on.
they cared. They
Well,
wanted the
it-
publicity.
Again, going back to we've talked about before, like things in the area getting connected to the specific location. The plane accident happened a mile away.
Yeah.
And it's a silent
That's-
movie theater. Like that is
Mhm.
That's stretch.
those
That's
are the
a
two
stretch.
things that connected, and potentially the people in the box may have been
Mhm.
the
Those
spirits
pilots.
of those that
Of the
were on the
pilots.
plane.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I will say
did-
that the artist in this was really good
yeah.
because those sketches, the box one was
Mhm.
creepy. I will
Oh,
say
yeah.
that one was
That
And all
really
those
creepy.
people in the background
Yes.
with their it look like 1920s or 30s
Yes.
hats.
They
and
look like
stuff.
they were just like
It
at,
was-
at a bar.
At like the heyday
Yeah.
of the theater
Mhm.
and when Mae West and Charlie Chaplin
Mhm.
were
Mm-hmm.
The movie
there.
theaters used to look like dinner theaters like that.
Yeah.
They weren't all just row seating.
But
And
I also
freezing.
found it really interesting with when Steve was like, he was so fascinated by the people doing the airplanes or whatever. And he's like, wow, that's not safe what they were doing. But you know what? I watched recently, it was like a video of a woman who was a wing walker. So
that's so scary.
The double-decker ones where they had to go and change out tires and things, landing equipment.
My grandfather on my mother's side was a pilot. And the family lore is that my grandmother was a wing walker.
It was usually women or smaller men who would be the wing walkers because they didn't tilt the plane or they could balance out the plane.
This is
because
scaring
these are
me.
the biplanes, and they would walk out like they weren't even in the plane when they would take off. They would be on the side and they would get up next to the other plane. Like there's a video of this woman and she is holding on to a tire that she has to go and change out. So she's walking across
God.
and then goes down underneath and she's just hooking her arm. But think about all the the skyscrapers when they built those, or like that iconic picture where they're sitting out eating lunch or whatnot. Nobody's using anything to keep themselves protected.
That's why the age. My new webcam is here. That's why age
Life
people died was
expectancy.
earlier because there was nothing. There was no safety.
Well, yeah, and we've talked about before too, the life expectancy overall.
Yeah.
The average age was slighted because of the number of people that died in childhood.
Right.
So when we always think about, because this is how we kind of were taught, is that, oh, people only lived to like they were 30 or 40 and you were real old if you lived to 40. No, it's just because so many didn't make it past a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's not vaccinate our children.
Why would we do something so silly, Megan?
That's so
I don't
silly.
understand.
I don't. No vaccines here.
All right.
Just kidding. I do.
Coming up on time. Is there anything else we need to cover? Anything else you wanted to talk
I mean, we could cover a lot of things related to the show. Probably
related to this episode is what I mean.
No.
Okay.
It was a good episode, but it wasn't as. It was just a lighter episode, which again,
and I think
is
you
not
know,
bad.
If you watch this episode, you can go back and find the Ghost Adventures episode and do a comparison, because I bet that the owners or managers that are there are different than the ones that we see in
Do we
this
know what
episode.
happened to Daniel, the owner? Did he sell? The one in this episode, not the other guy.
So
He must
Daniel
have.
in this episode, he was brought in as the manager. He was not the owner.
Oh, right.
But what is he still there?
Can't find his name anywhere in anything you look up that's attached. It's the other Daniel or Dan. And there's this guy must have fallen off the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Because
He went
there
back
is
to
hardly
Australia.
No, not this guy. The one in the episode, he's good. He wasn't he's
a good guy.
He wasn't somebody who had alleged assaults against him.
Right.
I'm talking about the previous owner that would have been around during the Ghost Adventures, potentially.
Yeah.
That guy must have fallen off the face of the earth, because there is nothing. You can find his last name in articles.
Yeah.
You cannot find anything about him. You can find stuff about his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find like one picture that's got those two and then another owner that they all started this fund for what used to own that theater.
Okay.
And that's where all the corruption was happening with everything. So Dan,
alleged assaults.
Yep. Dan is gone. Daniel, I would assume, is still there unless he found something new.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not much you can find about like any of the people from this Dead Files episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's too bad. But
Mm-hmm.
oh well.
Oh,
All right.
well. Okay, so should we
All she
wrap
wrote.
it up? Wrap it up?
Wrap it up.
So thanks for joining us, everyone. Next week, we will be discussing the Dead Files episode called Killed by the Clan, which I chose.
Ooh, yeah.
It is all the way back to season 1, episode 7 on Max, anyway. Probably something different everywhere
Probably
else.
something different any other place.
Always.
And so, if you want to view it a week ahead, just look for Killed by the Clan instead of worrying about it should be
The
episode
number.
1 no matter what, but
Is that one in the
Um,
Everglades, or is that the one in not the Everglades?
That is not the Everglades.
Those are the only
Well,
two places in
I
Florida.
do
Well,
believe it's
one
in
of hers-
Florida, though.
Yeah,
I-
both
I
of
do
yours
think
were
it's in
Florida.
Florida.
Yep.
And I grabbed it because when I saw the title, I was like, okay, I remember Amy Allen talking about this one.
Mhm.
And she talked about it in, I believe it's season 3. The first episode of season 3 is a sit down Q&A with
Yep.
Jim Casey, the
Producer.
creator of the
Producer.
show.
Mhm.
And I believe she said this one was the scariest one she'd ever done. Granted,
Ooh.
Super.
it was only she'd only been doing this for 3 years. or
So
2 years.
Megan, you got to
But
watch
still.
this at 11 o'clock
Yep.
at night.
Nope, you're not funny.
I think I'm a hoot.
I'll watch it at noon.
This might be the one where one of the spirits was in the reveal with her. I don't remember.
There were a couple of those.
There was
Mhm.
a couple. There was one where a little girl was hiding under a table. I remember that.
I feel like there's a really interesting one in Key West, but I can't remember.
I remember. Yeah, I remember
Or
there
in
was
the
one where
Keys.
they had. I think when she was doing the reveal, they had to stop it because she kept getting distracted from the spirit yelling at her not to say anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Maybe that was this one.
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'll
We'll
see.
find out.
But I like going back to these early ones because I think it's fun to see them when they look so young and
They're little babies.
they're little babies. And when Steve is not like
Gross.
so rude to Amy.
Mhm.
Like one of the early ones that we just did, a couple weeks ago or whatever was an early one. And when Amy like verified something that Steve found, or he verified something she found or whatever, when she said the name and this is what was going on, he looked at her like he was in awe of her.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yep.
that was so
when
cool.
back when we filmed or recorded at your house.
Yeah. Was it that one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. I
Because it was
still
a
haven't edited
season
that
2
one yet.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 2.
That one.
So that's what we're doing next week.
Yep.
Our spring break series. And
continues like the activity. I don't know, you guys. I'm sorry.
all right. Well,
Thanks for listening,
thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you.
bye.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media and is part of the independent Collected Sounds podcast network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.